Sorry, Mr. Speaker. I was going to observe on page 09. Sorry, sir.
09, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on page 09, item number 6, petition. Item number 6A4, which reads, make arrangements for adequate compensation for both the victims and those that lost their properties. I think both the people that lost their property and those that died, they were all victims of circumstances. So they are all victims. So I would have thought maybe we should have read something like, for those that died or the deceased and those that lost their properties. Instead of saying some are victims and some are not. They are all victims, sir.
In addition to that, I'm sure we did not actually agree on this. Okay. Honorable Jimmy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was going to bring your attention that we did not agree as to making any adequate compensation from our excellency. We said that we needed them to investigate and let NNPC to see whether or not they were the ones to be responsible for it.
Yes, I remember what we agreed upon was not to, put burden on the governor, that we should allow them to carry out the whatever assistance they can. And it was NNPC that we also call upon to ensure there is compensation for the victim. That can come in terms of responsibility of NNPC and not that of the governor. And about ensuring deployment of security, we asked for adequate patrol of the areas mentioned by members, not to station personnel at the hospital. So Mr. Clark, I think we need to look into this and amend them accordingly. We ask them to station, put adequate measures in place to stop driver hearing, ensure that the tanker drivers are restricted from moving. Make arrangements for adequate compensation for both victims and those that lost their property. We cannot quantify what adequate compensation is. So we should not burden the yes, Honorable Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, colleagues. 6B, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, to provide barricades. I think that barricade is double R. Thank you, sir.
Is what?
Double R.
Okay. On page 909, item 7, if you look at the resolve, all we have under resolve, expedite action on resolution of the recent security summit held in Ibadan, Oyo State, with view to finding last place again, empower local vigilance. We do actually agree that local vigilance should be empowered. We only ask them or appeal to them to come up with this an agency that can perform tasks of protection of life and property. I do not think we agree on vigilante. Honorable Jima, was that one of you?
Actually, Mr. Speaker, you are correct. But I think it was added by me this time, which is not supposed to be part of the result.
I can't hear you.
I said you are correct, Mr. Speaker.
So, Mr. Clark, please look at this. Page 10.
Speaker, good afternoon. Under Corrigenda, I remembered that the majority leaders mentioned Chief Ogunlaye as new president, but that was not corrected in the Corrigenda. I think it should be part of it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Page 10, item 9, line 5, sir. Item 9, line 5, where Mr. Speaker appreciated all those that came to grace the occasion of the victory party held at Agege. Line 9, sir, is a bit untidy.
Line what?
Line 9, line 5, item 9, sir. Line 5, item 9, where party leaders, the clerk of the house, management and staff for their support and attendance on the victory party. I think you should read attendance of the victory party, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Honorable Kasumi.
Add that I think under core agenda, you also mentioned at
No,
some.
let's state as okay, I mentioned the name. Okay. Yeah, that was Rahman of Asa instead of Amsat.
Should I go on first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sir. You did mention that Madam Speaker wasn't included in
No,
a
the-
particular
I name it-
section.
Her name is there. Thank you. I have examined the votes and proceedings of Monday, 22nd July 2019, and I provide a granted. Any message from the governor?
Right, Honorable Speaker, distinguished honorable members, there is no message from the governor.
Any other announcement?
Mr. Speaker, sir, there is no announcement.
Petition?
None, Mr.
Matter
Speaker.
budget public importance? Honorable Naim.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise this afternoon to talk about the state of our environment in Lagos State, the state of our environmental degradation, the state of our environmental hazard in the state. Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, I would like to commend the Executive Governor of Lagos State, Governor Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu. On the 29th of May, 2019, there was an executive order on the state of environment declaring a state of emergency in the state on environment. After the state of emergency, after declaring the state of emergency, what has been the positive effect and what has been the negative effect? I'll talk about it in two phases. One, I'll talk about the waste management. Is there any improvement in the waste management as at the time that the executive order was issued? I'll say yes, to some extent. Like in my constituency now, at least there is an improvement in waste management. We've been seeing the Loma going up and down to evacuate the refugees within my constituency and, in fact, all over the state. I would say they have improved. But there are some areas too they have not gotten to up till now. There's a place in Lekki Beach Road in Jakonde Estate. There are dump of heap of refuse there up till now. They have not evacuated all those refuse. Mr. Speaker, as a state that we want to move from mega city to smart city, there's a way that we need to manage our waste in the state. Like according to the Ministry of Environment, their statistics, they said the refuse that we generate from the residential is 80%. And while the one we generate from the commercial is 20%. All in total is 13,000 metric tons in a day that we generate in the state. The way we manage this refuse matters to the state. And the way when we generate this refuse, how do we do it? How do we convert this waste to wealth? How do we convert this wealth to energy, which will be of benefit to the state? That is on one part, sir. On the second part, sir, I want to talk about the flooding in the state. Mr. Speaker, in the whole of Lagos State, everywhere is flooded. I don't know why we have to wait until when we start having rainy season before we start talking about how we want to talk about flood drainages, we want to talk about how we will start evacuating our waterways.
Mr. Speaker, I think it will not be out of place if in the state of ours, we have a database of all the drains in the state. We have the primary drains, we have the secondary drains, and we have the tertiary drains as well. Mr. Speaker, I think it is important that we have the database from January to March each year, annually. It should be a thing that the Ministry of Environment will embark upon to make sure that they evacuate all the waterways in the state. Like, for example, now, we are talking about the water that is coming all the way from LSHA. It will be leaking up to my own constituency in Etiosa, and it will be leaking down to the lagoon after VGC. Up till now, Mr. Speaker, all these drainages has not been evacuated. July 1st, 2019, we witnessed what we call flooding in Ibramadesa along Lekki Express Road. Everybody saw it on social media and all that. What are the causes of all these things? This is what we call blocked drainages, because they've not been able to evacuate all these drainages. Like in another part again, if you look at the drainage coming all the way from Surulere to Gasikia from Surulere to Gasikia in Papa Igomu in Orile, down to government press and all that. All those areas too, all the drainage there have not been evacuated. Mr. Speaker, I rise this afternoon that we should, as a matter of urgency, call on the governor to monitor the executive order that he has been issued to direct the Ministry of Environment, particularly the drainage section, to embark on the evacuation of the waterways in the state. Mr. Speaker, lastly, and I want to say that we have what we call LSHA in the state, Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency. How do they manage all the waste in the state? For example, now, the waste that they generate in a hotel in a day, Mr. Speaker, is as huge. How do they go about enforcing and regulating all these commercial, residential heat-massers to the state? I want to stop for now, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The prime mover of the motion has really talked about the need for us to be proactive when it comes to the management of the environment. Mr. Speaker, in the last 2 months, we all appreciate that the state is threatened by flood. When you look at it globally, be it from Ikorodu Road, when we are going to Maryland, all the drains have been blocked. There is a need for us to be safe there. And globally, many of those drainages have collapsed, especially System 2 that carries water from Mushin down to Shomolu and going to Lagoon. And in the last 1 month, I think in Shomolu around Akpata, when we go to Bolaji Omuko and the like, we've been threatened and we have lost property to this. And the only reason why I could say that the state is challenging is because the major agency of government that are supposed to saddle with that responsibility has been stabbed and subsumed under public works, while it's supposed to be on its own. I'm talking about drainages. So, Mr. Speaker, it will be not out of place if we call on the governor to quickly put in motion the silting of our drains, especially on the major roads, to allow for ease of movement and to avert the threat on our roads, because currently many of our roads are not passable because of flood. I want to support my colleague by saying it is high time we did something about it. Then the local government as well to complement what the state is doing by distilling many of these dreams. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I need to thank the prime motion and mover of this motion. Mr. Speaker, just about 3 weeks ago, a video of 2 cities went off on social media. One is Singapore and the other one is Lagos. In Singapore, all the refuse generated Mr. Speaker, they converted it to energy, 24 hours burning, and that's what generated power for them. But in Lagos State, specifically at Igamu, what they depicted on that very day was the pig feeding on the refuse generated by the area. So, and we all know what pig symbolizes. So definitely, it symbolizes that Lagos State is very dirty. That is what I can read from that fellow. But Mr. Speaker, can we leave this one to government alone? My answer is no, Mr. Speaker. I think we have to change our attitude. Our attitude, we generate the refuse, and we should try as much as possible to see the way we can help the government to solve the problem. Mr. Speaker, our attitude determines our attitude. For instance, the very day we cultivate the attitude of not throwing waste where it's not necessary, so we will know that Lagos State will become cleaner. Mr. Speaker, the very day that civilians, that we are able to apprehend those people throwing refuse to an illegal place, and probably there is a squabble or a fight. I'm not encouraging for anybody to fight, but the day you hold people and the police just arrest and they drag you to court, but you always narrate that the generation of the refuse, you throw it to where it's not necessary. So at that very moment, then we'll be able to see that we are all keeping our vigilance on our environment. Mr. Speaker, and I want to remind you, sir, the drainage that started from Agege right away from Aboru, that drainage was awarded to somebody with more than 2.9 billion. And the contractor has been mobilized more than 1 billion. Up till now, Mr. Speaker, that drainage has never been cleared. It's still there. Mr. Speaker, I see this House will do something about it. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker and my colleagues. I want to thank the prime mover of this motion this morning. The issue raised this morning has been a recurrent decimal in Lagos State. It's obvious that waste generation is synonymous to urbanization. In a village, what we have there is organic waste, in which can decompose naturally. But in an urban area, we are expected that several waste will be generated as a result of human activity. But this, as may be, the waste in many parts of the world always turn to wealth. And the government have been trying, right from the time of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. When he came, he introduced a series of measures to really cut away the waste. All of us can remember the Oshodi then. But at the last dispensation, we all see how those that are cutting away our waste are being shut away and given into whatever scope we call it. That's when our parents started with waste management. And this house made it known to the old Lagosians that the company brought to Lagos State to cut away this waste is not known to the house. So therefore, the money they are being paid to them should be stopped. And then during our general election, to God be the glory, we start cutting away the waste. And today, the waste has been reducing gradually. But one thing I want to take from Honorable Bisi is that our attitude to waste is so poor. Even when you are going on the highway, you will see those in Porsche car, they will throw their either be waste on the highway. You won't believe such. And another thing we need to do about the waste management that we need to resuscitate those are being saddled to cut away our waste. The Loma operators, they should be mobilized so that they can come up to this. The waste now snowballs to the flooding we are talking of. Most of our drains are being blocked due to our uncultured where all our waste will just be thrown into the drains, especially when rain falls. All this attitude must be stopped. Another thing we need to take caution of is that we have a lot of encroachment on our wetland. Go to Bariga, go to Shomolu, go to Unilag, go to VI, series of encroachment on our wetlands. And another area we need to work on is the way at which this House of Assembly, we made mention that the Office of Drainage Service should be reactivated. Thank God the present government has done that, but they need to be mobilized. I called the Minister of Environment this morning. That's what is happening about our drains. They said that the new herdsmen are being brought, and they need more officers so that they can really take charge of our clearing of our drains, and then the primary drains are seriously being blocked. These are the primary drains that lead to the canal and creeks of Lagos State. Our main drains that even passes towards individual houses are being blocked by waste. So whenever it rains, you see that this flood water split over to the roads, and that's why we have all sorts of potholes on our roads. I believe this new government, we really have to do a lot in the area of waste control and flood control too. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a rather unfortunate situation because we seem to neglect the fundamentals. When we leave leprosy to curing worm, this is the effect that we get. The perception of Lagos to the international community is so poor and so appalling that even those of us who are indigenous, who are residents of Lagos, are not happy with the fierce physiognomy of our environment. When you look at Lagos, Lagos looks dirty, unkempt. Lagos looks organized, and it's a shame and embarrassment to all of us. Mr. Speaker, the topography of Lagos is very peculiar. We all know that it's below sea level. So we need to do more to get things done. In terms of this flooding that we're talking about, how did we get here? It will appear that in the last 2 years, nothing has been done in terms of the drainage clearing in Lagos State. We need to probe and look into what the Ministry of Environment has done in the last 2 years on drainage clearing. In my area, in Alakpere, Goodluck, Okwa-Adisa, Okwa-Araba, people have been carted away by flood. And when we ask questions, they said the contracts have been awarded and partly executed by some contractors. We don't know who got what, and we want to know what is actually happening in terms of drainage clearing in the last 2 years in Lagos. Mr. Speaker, road, refuse, and drainage, the RRD, they have a symbiotic relationship. When one of them is bad, it will affect the others. When roads are bad, it affects the drainages and refuse and road and vice versa. Mr. Speaker, we need to look at the issue of potable water too. People don't have access to potable water in Lagos. In almost all my constituency, when they construct one road today, they shut down access to potable water from the mains, and they cannot even dig boreholes. This is a very terrible thing, and people are drinking from whatever source they can fetch water from. Mr. Speaker, I want to remind us that the traditional role, the conventional role of local government is to provide services. Services as simple, as mundane, as nebulous, as drain clearing. We don't know what is happening. Nobody is sending local governments to go and build track papers, to go and do things that are wild elephant projects. What they are supposed to do constitutionally are these pedestrian services. They have neglected what they are supposed to be doing, and rather they are opting for very ambitious white elephant projects. Mr. Speaker, we need to call local government to order to assist the state government in this quest of drain clearing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Olumo.
I'm most grateful for giving me this opportunity to talk. I represent the good people of Ajeromi Fellow Constituency 1. Sir, I want to look at climate change to the factors that is affecting our environment today. Statistically, we know that about 2.8 billion people are affected worldwide, and 200,000 people have died resulting from environmental factors as a result of climate change. My constituency, for example, sir, I have more than 4 canals that have not been touched in the last 4 years. The resultant effect of this to us in that area is that has displaced a lot of people. We have health challenges, properties are being destroyed, and even the setback that were supposed to be meant for canals are being encroached by people. Sir, I would want to ask you and the August House to please call on the Ministry of Environment. I know year in, year out, money are set out for Lagos Metropolitan Development goals to clear our drainages. I don't think they do anything. And I also want to ask, sir, that health education be done through the Ministry of Environment to help us eradicate diseases that arises from this blockage of our canals. Sir, I would very much appreciate, sir, if strategies can be embarked upon to ensure that the issue of environmental problems are brought to the barest minimum in the state. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank my honorable colleagues. I want to thank you again, sir, for allowing me to speak. This is about my first time to speak in the House. I want to join Honorable DC Yusuf concerning the attitude of our people. I want to take you back to 2011 when I was the deputy leader of the Legislative Council, and then we had the opportunity of visiting a place called, I can't remember the town exactly, but it's quite, it's just a few meters away from Houston. So we were, lucky to meet with the mayor of that city, which is quite synonymous to what we have here in Lagos State. It's also very cosmopolitan. They have a lot of people from different walks of life living in that community. The community was, looking so neat, clean, and everything looked so perfect. And I asked the mayor, but what is the secret behind the success recorded here in your city? And he said to me that it's not magic, it's not rocket science, it's not fake jacket, it's just the people. Because the people understand that when you take care of your environment, the environment takes care of you. So he also told me that the people, they're kind of lawful. They respect the laws in place. Nobody wants to go to prison. Of course, they know that when they commit crime, the next thing is to face the law and go to prison. The people don't throw dirt, in any part of the city because they know that when they do stuff, people will fall sick, people will, get ill and taken to the hospital. So money is being spent on taking people to the hospital can be used to develop, for more infrastructure development of that city. So that boils down to my thinking, sir, Mr. Speaker, and the honorable members, that we can spend all the budget we have in the coffers of Lagos State in trying to distill our gutters, our waterways, and all, and what have you. But what I think is most paramount is to work on the orientation of the people. That's why I want to call on this House chamber, all members here, and Mr. Speaker, you especially, sir, that you can give me adequate consideration on the matter that I mentioned, a couple of days ago when we were at the last meeting at the Lasik Assembly Hall, when I said that it would be most imperative that we look into, some sort of replicating what is obtained at the national level of the National Orientation Agency. If Lagos State can have something, synonymous to that here in Lagos, where we address all these issues, make the people understand how to use the environment so that the environment can also take care of you. Even a lot of people in so many of these local governments, they don't even understand the governance, how it works. To them, it's like magic. You begin to explain and explain and explain. I feel strongly, sir, Mr. Speaker, that when we orientate the people, when there's a unit carved out at the Ministry of Information, that they are solely responsible to enlightening the people steadily, the people will get to understand that it is very imperative that they take care of Lagos, and particularly, bonded to Lagos State because I am from the Ilumegbo family. I don't have anywhere else to go. This is my homeland, and this is where I belong. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and the House for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have identified the problem of flooding, and we have also identified the cost of clean and clear drainages. Mr. Speaker, our contribution will be that we have mentioned series of these canals and drainages that lead up.
Please don't use of your mouth.
Mr. Speaker, I think the volume has problem. I think the volume has problem. I'm making effort. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to suggest that as representative of the people, maybe we should collate from our respective constituency these drainages that require attention and pass it on to the appropriate quarters while we also follow up oversight and see what will be done on them in the next 2-3 months to await the further stages of rainfall in the state. I think they may not know all these drainages, but we should be able to collate these drainages from constituency to constituency and forward it to the ministry or the appropriate agency for attention of these drainages, and we'll see what is done subsequently over it so as to evaluate what action has been taken on the drainages. It is better, it will be easier for us to monitor this when we know the drainages that has to be taken care of in Shomolu, in Koshope, in Ekwe, in Ikorodu, in Agege, and the rest of all this. That's my concern, Mr. Speaker.
Lastly, Honorable Tijani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues. And I have to commend the mover of this motion. The issue of flooding in Lagos State is eyewitness and is general problem that we are facing in this state. And we must not forget, this state, the nation of our state, is an aquatic splendor. That if during the rainy season, we should be expecting the rise of the flooding. And there are some factors that we have to prevent. If we prevent all these factors, I think at the end of the day, we'll enjoy the free flow of water. One, the blockage of the drainage. If the drainage is properly cleared, I think at the end of the day, there will be a flow free of water. The water will be able to flow through the whole area that is needed. Another factor is the poor performance of management, refuse management. I think I've witnessed in different occasions whereby the truck pusher are the aid of rescue people in the issue of refuse. After they collect the little they want to collect, they will just take all the refuse and dump it beside the canal. At the end of the day, all these things will just block and there will not be free flow of water. So it is a matter of urgent to call the Ministry of Environment to at least swing to action and the waste management of Lagos State to deploy their men all over the Lagos State. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You've been able to enumerate the challenges facing our environment when it comes to disposal of refuse and management of our canal drainage and other water collectors. But to get to the root of this, I think what you have mentioned, we have issues of abandoned projects which has been awarded. We have issues of disposals of refuse, and as well as clearing of some of the systems which we call canals. To get to the root of this, I think there is need for us to have another committee that will work on these enumerated problems so that we can get full details of all this. So we'll be setting up another committee to be chaired by Honorable Oshun. Members are Age Sulaiman, Honorable Laiwola, Honorable Tijani, Honorable Jimmy Mohammed, and Honorable Kasum. Secretary, Mr. Amotayo. Mr. Akiola and the legal officer will be expected to report back in 1 week, and I will expect them to also visit some of these canals that have been mentioned, and if possible, going out to Loma office to verify how they've been doing in managing this, and since it has been returned within the control of Loma, the clearing of refuse and waste. So, but to report back in 1 week. Personal explanations, reports, majority leader.
Right Honorable Speaker, today is the birthday of the first executive governor of the first civilian governor of Lagos State, Alhaji Lateef Kayode Jakonde. And on the other paper is time for tribute to His Excellency Alhaji Lateef Kayode Jakonde, the first civilian governor of Lagos State, on his 90th birthday. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I hope you won't be disturbed to take that again. Majority leader, please take that again.
Mr. Speaker, I did say that today, the 23rd day of July, coincides with the 90th birthday of the first civilian governor of our state, Alhaji Lateef Kayode Jakonde. As he turns 90 today, I said on the other paper is the tribute to His Excellency Lateef Kayode Jakonde by members of this honorable House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So we are going to relax the rules to allow everybody to. We are going to relax the rules so that people can make
It is a general discussion and nobody is coming in. And that's why I feel we can proceed without the rules suspended. But having said that, Mr. Speaker, may I humbly move that the rules of the House be suspended to allow members to talk in turn, pay their tribute in turn to this late to the sage, Alhaji Lateef Kayode Jakonde. I so move that the rules be relaxed.
Honorable Council.
I raise the second, the motion as
All
moved.
in favor say aye. Those against nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Setonji.
Right Honorable Speaker and my colleagues, I'm so happy this morning to talk about one of our mentors. This man, Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, the indefatigable, ebullient, intuitive, great leader that we have had in Lagos State. He was the governor for 4 years, from 1979 to 1984, and his achievements are so numerous to mention. There are so many things that when we start reeling out these achievements, you'll be wondering, how can somebody do this within 4 years? I remember that this Lagos State House of Assembly, the former complex, was built by this great man. We now named it Lateef Jakonde Auditorium, which was one of the best in this country. He initiated weekend television, the first of its kind in Nigeria. He started Lagos State University, the first private state-owned university in Nigeria. He established teachers training colleges throughout the state and colleges of education. He built low-cost houses in so many places. We have them in Ijayi, Dolphin, Okiafa, Ije, Abeson, Ikpori. In fact, the largest housing estate in Nigeria, if not West Africa, was built by this man in Abeson. We don't have his type in any part of West Africa. He established Water Management Board on the 18th of August 1980. Constructed at the Water Works to increase water supply in the state to 18.16 million liters per day. The government modernized the expanded Iju Water Works, which was first commissioned in 1915. This increased the daily capacity from 159 million to 204 million liters per day. His government conducted, rehabilitated, and resurfaced Ekpe, Ibejuleki, Jebode Road, Oba Akra Avenue, Going Street.
Honorable Senator, you have to be brief.
Yes, in fact, I have so many things that this one has done for Lagos.
You have to say everything.
And I want to appreciate the Right Honorable Speaker for giving the opportunity
Thank you very
to
much.
reel out this. So, kudos to this great man. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, we have to pay tribute to this great man and one of the last man standing. When you look at the disciple of the great legend, the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, we have to really look at his achievement, cutting across, but I will just, because Honorable Setoji has almost taken away all the points, but I will still dwell on the one that affected us. You look at him, that man happened to be a man of vision and direction, and his sense of application was superb and sweet. He came into the governance of this state in 1979 and quickly did something that was very touching and affected most of us in the area of education when he quickly declared free education in 1979. Not only that, there were shifts in school, morning section, afternoon section. He turned them to one with immediate effect. And it was, like I said, it was working like magic, but was never one. It was just as a result of proper planning and execution. He brought school close to the people, and a lot of the spaces within the environments were turned to school. We call it the Jakonde Poetry School then, but later became a very good and great school today. Not only that, a lot of the drainages that we see around, even up to today, were constructed by Lateef Jakonde. There are a lot of great and first things he did, which was he laid the original foundation of what we can call the proper Lagos in 1979. Well, I'm joining the teeming majority of Lagosians and Nigeria as a whole to say happy birthday to this great man. God continue to still protect his life for us. Thank you.
Honorable Akode.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to add my voice to say happy birthday to the doyen of our modern day education. I want to dwell. Chief Lateef Jakonde was born in July 29, 1929. What a very fantastic date. In 4 years, he has done so much in the area of education. And one of those achievements precisely is his government established a singular educational system. And it will interest you to know that when he came on board in 1979,
he met just about 812 pupils in the primary school. 812 schools having about 533,000 pupils. And before we know it, he turned it around. And again, for secondary school, from 223 to with 1,679 pupils, he turned it around again. This man we are talking about lives a very extraordinary life. He was the only first governor, executive governor of Lagos State, that decided to live among his people. He refused to stay in the government house. He lives around his people. He wants to feel their impact when in LSHA. He used the people to be his forum. Again, this man we are talking about has a vision, and the vision is to make Lagos a smart city, whereby he introduced then a metro line, which Buhari, Major General Buhari, which our president now, disbanded and they refused. But today, the metro line has been started by Buhari in the north. That is to show you that he's a visionary leader. And many more. In this wise, I want to join the good people of Lagos to wish this man a happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Long life and prosperity.
Honorable Osho.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, members. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to start itemizing. Baba Ike has been a wonderful person to us, as we were referred to. And if you want to go by his achievements, it becomes a shame to some of our governors. What he was able to achieve in 4 years, up to date, I doubt if you have any governor that's going to achieve the same. But I just want to mention one or two. Mr. Speaker, sir, firstly, I want to talk about his modesty. Even as a governor, he used his crown, military crown. He did not change his car, no official car, he was using his car. That's a sign of someone who did not allow that position or the wealth or the money or the power to get into his head. And like Honorable Akonde said, he lived in his house, just like someone I know now. So for me, that can be bought. It shows sign of good home training. That's number one, sir. Number two, sir, we keep talking about education, Mr. Speaker. So many people in Nigeria today, especially in Lagos, would not have sensed or smelled the four walls of a classroom if not for this gentleman we're talking about. And when people were saying poetry Jakonde, that poetry has created so many doctors, so many lawyers today. Mr. Speaker, members, there will be no point going on and on. In as much as I want to say happy birthday to Baba Ike, I want again to put this on record that our governors, our leaders, should learn from people like that. It's not enough just getting into power. You need to. He has left office so many years, but we're still talking about him, and we'll continue to talk about him. So we should all learn from him. Happy birthday, Baba Ike. Thank you.
Time for time, Oji.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speakers and my fellow colleagues. Today we are celebrating an icon, a futuristic thinker, an achiever par excellence, a bridge builder. A lot of achievements have been mentioned by the previous speaker. Subsequent to the two-shift systems of education, which is considered not proper, the administration within 6 months, he constructed over 11,729 classrooms with a maximum of 40 children per class. Between March and August 1980 and 1983, he constructed over 22,000 classrooms. His administration took over the ownership and the finance of the Lagos State Printing Corporation in July 1980. His administration established the first state traffic management authority, popularly called Road Marshal. The His administration established a small-scale industry credit scheme, which preceded EcoBank. He is the governor that gave us the light and the life in the Lekki axis. He constructed Lekki Express Road, although he was unable to complete it before the military takeover. But alhamdulillah today, maybe if Baba Kekere did not start the road, maybe we still remain where. His administration also established the Water Management Board and Waste Disposal Board on 18th of August 1980. His administration built Lagos State University, popularly called LSHA at Ojo. On this note, I want to join Lagosians to wish Baba Kekere happy birthday and many happy returns. Igba ọdún ọdún kan ni o. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Tunde Ibrahim.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have a whole volume to say about Alhaji Jakonde, but because of time and because most of my colleagues have said those sterling qualities that Alhaji Lateef Kayode Aremu Jakonde stood for as governor of Lagos State and still stand for as a veritable elder statesman from Lagos State. Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, from his is a non-Nigerian today, and from his humble background, went to Lagos Public School, from Lagos Public School to another school in Port Harcourt, St. Bohan Primary School in Port Harcourt, to LSHA Grammar School, and sometime he was in King's College. Alhaji Jakonde began his journalistic career in 1949 in the West African Service. By 1953, he joined the Nigerian Tribune, and by 1956, he was made the editor of the Nigerian Tribune because of his acumen and administrative powers. By 1979, 1975 rather, Alhaji Jakonde established John West Publications, where he published Lagos News. In 1979, Alhaji Jakonde became the governor of Lagos State. In a keenly contested election that saw him defeating the likes of the much more famed Chief Adeniyi Ogunsoya, Alhaji Sultan Ladega, Adeniji Adele, and all of them. Alhaji Jakonde not only assumed power, he did a lot with power. When Jakonde was governor, we have listened to testimonies of his frugal, Spartan, and unassuming lifestyle, where he rode a Toyota Crown, old Toyota Crown, until this House of Assembly, this August House, bestowed him with the gift of a car some years ago. He was riding that Toyota Crown. And today, Alhaji Jakonde stands tall amongst his peers. Most of his peers are gone anyway, the like of Bola Ige, Anobanjo, Ambrose Ali, Adekunle Adashi. Is the last man standing of all those people. But today, Alhaji Jakonde is a veritable reference point of those who have made indelible their footprints in the sands of time. He has come, he has seen, he has conquered, but we want to appeal to God to please spare him more for us so that he can continue to give us mentorship and tutorship, and we can continue to draw inspiration from his veritable lifestyle. Congratulations, Baba Kekere, on the non-Nigerian status of 90. Thank you, Mr.
Honorable Laiwala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and my colleagues. I join others to pay tribute to our leader, Alhaji Lateef Kayode Aremu Jakonde. Just as it has been said, I don't need to be rhetoric about the life history of Alhaji Jakonde, but I need to let this August body know that Alhaji Jakonde has paid his due. A non-Nigerian, when he came in, he went to the office of Lagos State with a mission. There was a 5 cardinal program of UPN that emphasized on free education at all levels, free health services, full employment, affordable low-cost houses, and integrated rural development. All these were carried out by Alhaji Jakonde, and this was the reason why he was nicknamed Action Governor. What I will say is that Almighty Allah should spare the life of Alhaji Jakonde to witness more of this good years on earth. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Honorable Kasumi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand before you today celebrating a man who indeed was born on the 23rd July 1929. A journalist by excellence, a man whose work spoke for him throughout when he was at John West, a man as a governor who established what we today know as local government, as at when his administration started, he established about 23 local governments. Now today we have local government and local council development areas because we had a foundation. This is a man who went to my alma mater. So today I say Florence, King's College, Lagos. This is a man who, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, at his 75th birthday, described Alhaji Lateef Jakonde as a man who was consistently committed to public service. And he has lived such a life till today. Today I celebrate a man who has nothing but positive political audacity. I celebrate a man who still today, at 90, is living and still has a knack for excellence. I say happy birthday, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me start this way that Alhaji Jakonde is a legend, whose legacy is legendary. I was talking to my colleague here and he said, the man did well, he's 90. But he will not comment because he's older than his dad, but his dad died before now, Honorable Jam. But Mr. Speaker, on a serious note, Alhaji Jakonde is a silent achiever. He's a first-class administrator. A man that is very modest, visionary, and highly contented. Many condemned him in 1980 when he joined Abacha. But I would say that made him a nationalist because while others faltered, he joined that administration to replicate the housing scheme in Lagos at national level. So I appreciate his courage. At 90, he's still waxing stronger, and God will preserve his life, and God will give him more time to celebrate more rewarding years. I appreciate him. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me.
Honorable Michelle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to lend my voice to appreciating our father, the father of Lagos, let me put it that way, Alhaji Lateef Jakonde. He was the first executive governor of this state, and you can see from what he did, first civilian governor, from what he did, Lagos was set on the right path. This is someone that is a beacon of service. Everything about him was for Lagos to grow. He had no other agenda. I think he's a public servant, excellence, and somebody we should all emulate in our political life. My colleagues have said almost everything about him. I would just add to it by saying happy birthday, long life apart, many happy returns.
Thank you very much. Honorable Busi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Congratulations to a man with a critical and analytical mind, a welfareist. I say congratulations. May you live long. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Honorable Ayode.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me also join my colleague to congratulate Alhaji Lateef Jakonde for enabling someone like us to even go to school, if not because of Alhaji Jakonde. I think most of us, particularly in my area, I could recollect in Badagry then in 1979, before 79, 1976, 77, there wasn't any school, there was nursery primary school in Badagry then, but most of the people could not be able to afford to send their children to school. They immediately, when Alhaji Lateef Jakonde became a governor of the state in 1979, someone like me also, I was withdrawn from nursery primary school, Florida nursery school then. to Saudi Primary School in 1977, I mean 78, 79, set then, particularly in 1979. Mr. Speaker, also, one thing about Alhaji Lateef Kayode Jakonde that I want to mention here is that all the things that Alhaji did there, particularly on the 4 cardinal goals of the UPN, on the issue of education, if you see Alhaji Lateef Kayode Jakonde giving us the free exercise book, textbook, the only thing you will see on that textbook was that it is the property of Lagos State government. If you see the back of the exercise book 2A, 2B, you will just see the map of Lagos State. But today, go and see our council chairman. If they are giving you exercise book, someone will put their hand like this. Someone will, you know, it is very annoying. It is not encouraging, and it is not their money. It is taxpayers' money. So, Mr. Speaker, even if we are going to that area, if we can move a motion here to stop all those things, because what are you giving the primary school there? Just do exercise. Alhaji Lateef Kayode, when they are there, they will give us seats. There are 12 seats, pencil, all that. Nothing, you will not see all of them with their pictures. I thank him for doing that. Also, Mr. Speaker, on the 4 cardinal goals that we are talking of, I want to congratulate Baba Bola Ahmed Tinubu today, because when Asiwaju also became the governor of Lagos, he maintained that 4 cardinal goals. We talk on the education, health, rural, particularly rural electrification. When Asiwaju became the governor of Lagos, he renamed the rural Ministry of Rural Development there. Come to my village in Balabi. You will see some villages that you don't even know that light will come to that area. When Alhaji Lateef Kayode did it, and Asiwaju also follow it. I want our new governors also to do the same and continue. May Almighty God be with every one of you. Happy birthday to him. I thank you so much.
Honorable Nureni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. First of all, I am the celebrant because Baba Jakonde is living in my constituency. So, although if you see Baba, I will say happy birthday to Baba Jakonde, the first executive governor. Baba is very good, and I think Baba, I was there this morning, and you can see good work. There's nothing like good work. You get there, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, even some people over there from Ogun State, Kaduna, everywhere. And I even met my speaker. So because you can see Baba Jakonde is living with us, and you can see my speaker too, is living with these people. That is exactly what happened. So it's good for us to emulate that. Having said this, Baba Jakonde's door is very open. Baba run open policy because he's not eating the government money. They have nothing to do, so the door is very, very open. Many people have said a lot, but I won't like to repeat what they've said. But just on behalf of Mushi Constituency 1, Odiolowo Ojuoye people, to congratulate Baba, our father, Alhaji Lateef Kayode Jakonde. Baba, may you live long. Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Sani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I'd like to join my other colleagues to celebrate our icon, Alhaji Lateef Kayode Jakonde. In fact, and indeed, he is an icon, a quintessential politician, an enigmatic leader. His foray into politics can best be described as legendary, or if you like, phenomenal. He has made his mark. Needless to talk about his achievements, because my other colleagues have reiterated that enough. But a lesson has to be learned from the legacy that Alhaji Lateef Jakonde planted. He actually planted legacy of service. For us politicians, we growing politicians, we have a lot to learn from him. He has planted legacy of service, and he remains a reference point for many of us. On this note, I wish to say that long may Alhaji Lateef Jakonde live in good health
sustained prosperity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Jude.
Good afternoon, my speaker and my dear colleagues. So I just want to add that apart from Obaja Konde being a modest person, he is very compassionate, and I'll tell you he's a detribalized Nigerian. I have met him severally. Politically, he has assisted me, irrespective of where I'm coming from. So I will tell you, for me, he has shown a light to others to follow. My colleagues have said everything. All I want to just add is to wish him well, and on behalf of my constituency, which is the Solo constituency, my beloved family, we wish him God protection.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Jal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. While I join my colleagues in celebrating Baba, I also want to celebrate his friend and colleagues. Yes, sir. Honorable Osmark and Baba BC Yusuf. Mr. Speaker, sir, Alhaji Lateef Jakonde was first a journalist before he became an administrator. He was successful at what he was doing before he became an administrator. For many of us who are young, who were not born when he was appointed an administrator in the 70s, late 70s, we have learned a lot from what he has done. We celebrate Baba today as youth, and I use this opportunity to also advise the youth, like our elders would always say, Koto Shebi Owesa, Orúkọ rere sàn ju wúrà àti fàdákà lọ. To also emulate what Baba has done, remain modest in everything they do, honesty, and continue to work hard so as to preserve a name for their own children. I congratulate Baba on his 90th birthday. He has lived long. I pray he lives longer. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Honorable Saka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and my colleagues. Let me join my colleagues to congratulate Baba and say happy birthday. Baba was called Baba Kekere then. Today is now Baba Gbadagba. What I observe in the administration is that they have a nucleus family. They work as a nucleus family. They work, and the cabinet work with an efficient and effective passion with futuristic nature for Lagos State. They create local government there, and they finance the local government. They give them 10% of internally generated revenue of the state, and they watch them that the local government perform creditably. Today, when the military junta came, they dissolved the local government, and yet we thank God when the Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu came into power, they create additional local government, and the former local government that Baba Jakonde was created there was also created. And apart from that, my brothers they have said a lot about what Baba have done. In terms of rural electrification, some of the towns, particularly in my local government, because it's a typical rural local government, then we enjoy what is called electricity. And I also enjoy part of the education. I was in class 3 then, and my class 3 then is 3N per time. I mean afternoon by afternoon session. And when Baba came, we now turn the 3N to morning session. Everybody is in the morning session. We enjoy what is called education. Then I'll join others and say, Baba, congratulations, long life and prosperity.
Thank you very much. Honorable Olumo.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me another opportunity to talk. Baba Jakonde is some person that I see as a larger than life in his image. To me, he has done so many great things for us in Lagos State. My colleagues have said so many, but we forgot that the Lagos State Secretariat that our civil servant currently enjoy was built by this great icon. I want to go in the Yoruba parlance and tell Baba that we love him so much, and I will do a little bit of his oriki. Baba, ọmọ olómù apẹ̀rán ni yín o. Ọmọ alára agogo dẹ. Ọlọ́run á jẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ pẹ́ fún wa o. Happy birthday, sir.
Thank you. stop your right. Honorable Agnes Sulaiman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My distinguished colleagues. My name is Raouf Olawale Sulaiman. I'm representing Amod of the Constituency 2. All said and done, Baba Latif Jacondi is somebody that all the appellations, all the characteristics that I mentioned are for him. And at the same time, we have even forgotten to mention some that are salient. Among this is Babaja Kondi. Is somebody who, I for one, in those days, never saw wearing a gada. Was always wearing buba. Baba was always wearing buba compared to what is available today. Well, his idea to wear buba is not because he couldn't wear agbada, but I was opportune to ask him this question one day. He said, well, it makes him smarter. That is that. I am opportuned to go to Jakonde school. I am opportuned to be educated because of this man. So what are we now talking about? Because majority of us have said it, that we are fortunate that this man came to this world, that this man is a Nigerian. So, in the light of this, I want to join the entire Nigeria. I want to join Lagos State. And I want to join everybody here present. From my constituency, to say happy birthday, Baba.
Thank you very much. Honorable Juma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I won't be fundamentally different from the position of my honorable colleague, but I feel strongly that Alhaji Jakonde is a great social leader. With what you have said about him, shows that he's a disciplinarian, he's a party man, because whatever he's doing in Lagos, the official of that intended to under Professor Abusani, and Abusha Onabanjo is also doing the same thing in the state. When he was busy with his last project, Abusha Onabanjo is also busy state industry project. Likewise, however, that's determined. The import of all this is for new generations coming to hand on their shoulders, especially Jakonde, so that we can see the hand whatever we have done and continue from this. Because from the submission paper, we realize that we will pass on people's lives. That is one. Secondly, whatever our own decision as the responsibility of the people also affects people's lives. So we need to take action from that and think before we take everything. And when we are thinking, we should think about it.
Honorable Naim, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to wish Baba happy birthday, long life and prosperity. I've listened to so many comments here today, and they're saying that here comes a time in the history of mankind where men of positive history will be recognized. I can see that Baba's name has been written in gold in the history of Lagos State. Happy birthday, long life and prosperity to Baba.
Honorable Makuli.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It gladdens my heart that we celebrate this man while alive, not that we are paying tribute to him after his demise. Alhaji Jakonde is a progressive-minded person. He's a pace setter, and he has become a monument for many aspirators to take from the past achievement. On this note, I congratulate Baba for many years with good health on earth.
Thank you. Majority Leader in 2 minutes lastly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to congratulate Alhaji Jakonde for 3 things. One, for turning 90 today. 2, for being able to immortalize himself with his achievements while alive. And 3, for being able to establish to mankind that it is not the degree of material gains in public office that immortalize a man, but his impactful achievements. And on this note, I congratulate you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Speaker.
Well, you said it all. I don't think there's anything left behind that has not been mentioned. We thank Almighty Allah for giving us Laji Latif Kayode Jakonde to serve us in Lagos State, most especially at the period he did. We can only summarize this. Maybe some of us that happen to be beneficiaries of his service to humanity. He gave us hope, he gave us education, and he gave us exposure. Many of us passed through what they call Jakonde poetry, and even his university, and even his chamber that we now turn to Latif Kayode auditorium. He did all this just in 4 years, and if you count number of students that passed through all these institutions, you agree with me that Jakonde actually gave us education, gave us exposure, gave us civilization, as many as you can count. On these notes, we all join Lagosians and Nigerians at large to celebrate Alhaji Kayode Jakonde today as he clocked 90 years. Mr. Clark, well, I want to ask you to send a letter, a congratulatory letter to Alhaji Latif Kayode Jakonde, telling him that we, members of Ninth Assembly of Lagos State, hereby celebrate him as he also celebrates his 90 years of birth. We wish you happy birthday and many more years. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, first I want to move that the rules of the House are suspended be resuscitated. I so move.
Honorable Akode.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the motion as moved.
All in favor say aye. Those against nay, the ayes have it. Majority Leader.
With the kind permission of approval of the Right Honorable Speaker, I wish to move that this House adjourns till Monday, the 29th day of July at 12 noon. I so move.
Honorable Sonny.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion as moved. Thank you.
All in favor say aye. Those against nay, the ayes have it. This House stands adjourned till Monday, 27 July 2019 at 12 noon prompt. I rise.